guys, and welcome back to my channel. Welcome to Butterfly TV. So just to start, I know it's been a while. I know I went very quiet. I gave you guys an update at the beginning of my last video on this channel, and we have more of an update on my Brook TV other channel. So I will link those so you can go see those to get more details. But suffice it to say, we took full placement and of a sibling set, and so we have them full time now. And that happened about 2 weeks ago. And so things have been rather busy. But I go into a little more detail over in the other videos, so go check out those for more details. But I did want to go over something that I got as a question a while back. I've been working through this list of questions I got, and I wanted to address it in a video. I asked for some video topic ideas, and one of the ones that I got was signs you're heading into menopause before your mom. I think what this is asking is, how do you know if you're going into menopause earlier than your mom did? Now, I want to preface everything I'm about to say with a reminder that this is not medical advice. I am not a medical professional. I do not know your case. I do not know your hormone levels. I don't have any of that in front of me. So I cannot answer this on a very personal level. I can share my experiences and what I know, but this is not medical advice. Just putting that out there. So, menopause. With Turner syndrome, we deal with hormones, right? And that's the basis of everything. And what menopause is, let's find the exact menopause thing. What is the definition of menopause?
Here's the definition of menopause: the ceasing of menstruation.
Okay. Well, that's a more succinct definition than I expected. So, menopause is when you stop having cycles, basically. But there's a reason behind why you're stopping having cycles. Your hormone levels shift. I think that definition said between 45 and 50. Honestly, the age can vary vastly between everyone. And the age you go into menopause can be affected by a whole lot of factors. It's not just, oh, you naturally do at this age. Like, there's a whole lot of other factors that are going to shift it. Some that can shift it earlier than other women in your family. Some that can shift it later than other women in your family. Sometimes it's a longer process for you than for others, or vice versa. So there's a whole lot to think about with signs for menopause and what you may experience, what you might look for, and how to know if you're going into menopause. To be honest, it can be a little confusing with Turner syndrome how to know, because really our hormone levels are so low without our HRT for most of us, not everybody, but for most of us, certainly for me, that I know I basically throw myself into menopause when I don't take my medicine regularly. Like, if I go off my medicine, I'm basically in menopause. And I can't say that I know for sure how to understand all of that. Because then, you take it and you have a cycle, and so are you out of menopause then? So what I do know is, for Turner syndrome, what Turner syndrome women experience in the beginning when you are growing up, you're physically developing slower, maybe later. You start puberty later, like delayed puberty. Some don't start puberty at all until they start hormones. I started, but I didn't finish until I took hormones. So there's those types of things that happen that you basically are going into pre-menopause really early. And menopause, yes, it's the ceasing of having a cycle, right? Like, it's the ceasing of having a period. But it's also hormone levels. It's also the symptoms you experience from the hormone level shift. And it's that kind of balancing out and leveling out to whatever they're going to lower to naturally. Also, it is something that, because it's connected to the hormone levels, is going to look different for everyone in the way that what you may have going on could be very different. So just in general, Turner syndrome almost starts out with like pre or early menopause because your hormone levels are so low typically. Again, not everybody. You can't speak in generalizations accurately, but typically you almost already start in that and then you go out of that. Now, this does bring up a question from me because honestly, I've never heard stories of how a woman with Turner syndrome on a regular HRT routine, when they're around the age that they would naturally shift into menopause, slowly taper off and stop or stop HRT altogether. Like, I've not actually heard how that's typically handled, to be honest. I've not heard stories of how that got approached, like how those conversations, how those experiences go. So if you have gone through that experience where you are shifting off of HRT to just naturally let yourself go into what your body would be doing on its own menopause, I would love to hear your experiences and stories if you're willing to share, either in the comments or you could send me a message. I'm just very curious because I've never heard stories, and it'll be very interesting for me to see how my doctors want to handle it when I get there. I know there is a lot of concern health-wise, though, for other aspects of it that I think are going to play a major factor in those conversations of when you would wean off of HRT. Things like bone health is a major one. Particularly as you're getting older, you're going to worry about that more, right? Like, I know we already do anyways, right? Like, we have to worry about our bone health and bone density. We have to worry about calcium levels and everything already. But even more so as you're getting older, those are things you want to think about that HRT is a major support for. You are having major help from that to keep your bones healthy. And so those are things that I think have to be thought about too. As far as signs for menopause, there's a long list of symptoms you can experience from, the typical hot flashes, mood swings. Honestly, for me, when I'm off my HRT for too much, like when I get off my routine, I go into a very deep depression and I'm very, like, my energy is very low. There's also like hair growth. Hot flashes is a big one. So let's Google those as well. What are the symptoms of menopause?
Here are some details.
Oh, okay. It just brought up a list. Sleep issues, fatigue, hot flashes, night sweats, anxiety, moodiness, things like that. Basically, all of those things that we talk about with hormone imbalance. That's what going into menopause feels like. So if you have experienced going off of your HRT and that shift in your hormone levels, from my understanding, obviously I have not let myself fully go into menopause before. Not to my understanding, but to my understanding, it is a very similar experience. I think, at least. Correct me if I'm wrong, doctors or medical professionals, because I'm certainly not one. But as far as timing goes, because the question also mentioned before your mom, so early, at a different age than your mom did, that's heavily impacted by Turner syndrome. It's a completely different, unless your mom also has Turner syndrome, it's a completely different scenario to think about menopause in. So there's not it's not apples to apples. It is not a picture side-by-side comparison situation. So how you would know would just be looking out for symptoms, looking out for those symptoms that we listed, that we talked about, for that happening. Honestly, I kind of anticipate, just like there's no way of a woman with Turner syndrome typically going into full puberty, starting their cycle on their own without intentionality, without working with a doctor, you're probably not going to, while you're on HRT, be going into menopause on your own. I don't know fully what that looks like, because yes, in a normal, I hate using that word, but I don't know how else to describe it. In a typical situation, you could, and the hormones would just be easing those symptoms that we talked about. because HRT is actually also used for women going through menopause to ease the symptoms. However, this not being the typical situation, I don't think it applies. I don't fully know how that works. So I would suspect it wouldn't just happen on your own, because those hormones are keeping you from going into menopause. They're keeping your levels where they should be, when they would not naturally be at that on its own anyways. It's all a little confusing, especially in the context of everybody's different. But I thought it was a good topic and important to talk about, and not something I've actually talked about before. So thank you for the comment and question, and I hope that helped. I hope that wasn't too confusing. And I hope that actually addressed what you were asking. So, there we go. That was my first video back. Again, if you guys want more detailed updates on everything going on, you can head over to Brooke TV and watch those videos. And yeah, if there's anything else you want to hear me talk about, leave it in the comments below. If you want to hang out and talk about Turner syndrome, we talk about Turner syndrome all the time. So hit the like button, make sure you're subscribed and have notifications on, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.